financing
Refi.
after,
Yeah, I don't know how we will track that, but
will be interesting.
All right, so I think, yeah. 2 o'clock. Let me check one last thing here. Perfect. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. All right, so we'll start it. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. Thank you all for your time, for being here. We're going to go over the latest official South Florida real estate statistics. And it's not just about statistics, it's about trends, right? Like, where's the market today? Where's the market going? We're going to go over all the top metrics. And, we've been doing this program for about 2 years. And the program has been a success, not because of me, but because of the different leaders, right, that come on and give their expertise. They have the boots on the ground. They have the knowledge that they're going to help all the realtors that are on this call or also watching on social media. Incredible advice and tips. And so to introduce our leader that we have today, her family has done so much for South Florida real estate through the decades. I will start with her grandfather, Ted Pappas, who was the Kai's company chairman in 1969. He was also the Miami Realtors board president in 1975. Her father, of course, is Mike Pappas. He's the Kai's CEO. And today, Christina is following that lineage, and she is the Kai's president, a longtime Miami Realtors leader. And by the way, she was Florida Realtors president in 2022. Christina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Chris. It's an honor. And like you said, Miami has served my family well. And so we just love to serve and give back to our community here with Miami Realtors, and are so proud of what Miami Realtors has done, how they've grown. And now with you and the services, and now even with Gay on here, I see some incredible statistics, all free to our members and really at our fingertips. So hopefully we'll be able to give some great takeaways to all of our realtor communities.
Definitely. Yeah. We're so excited to have you here. This next hour is going to be incredible as we go through this slide deck. But Christina, the first question I have here, maybe, we are live on social media and on this Zoom call. Maybe there's new realtors who joined the program for the first time and says, why are stats important? I just want to sell houses. Why do I need to know these different metrics? Could you put into words just how important it is?
I think two main reasons. One is, especially if you're a new realtor, there's a lot of things you need to learn. And my favorite phrase is competence builds confidence. So in order to have the confidence to go out there and to get the business that you want and you need, and to show, it's kind of that fake it till you make it, but you need that confidence. The stats and the market trends will give you that confidence in knowing actually what's occurring. And the second piece, I think, is almost that give back piece of realtors that I truly believe in, is that we have to be the echo chamber, not the news. And it is our job as a realtor to show our value of, we understand the market. This is actually what's occurring here. Buyer, seller, friend, family member. This is the market. These are the stats, not what you're hearing or seeing online or seeing in the news. That's clickbait, and I got the real stuff for you. And that really makes you valuable to your clients and will get you to sell more homes than you're doing now. So if you're already selling homes, use it as a backup, be the one that voice for reason, and add that into your value proposition.
Love it. Yeah, I wrote that down. We have to be the echo chamber. That's
yes, not the I read a headline and echo it back, right? That's what happens. I read a headline and everyone is echoing it. Well, I'm going to give you the headline and you guys can echo that one. And that's really what's occurring here.
Definitely. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at our agenda for the next hour. We're going to look at the latest official statistics. These are coming from the Miami MLS. Miami Association of Realtors owns the Miami MLS. So these are our statistics. We are releasing them to the media today. News releases are going out this afternoon. And we'll definitely, most important, hear from Christina's perspectives. This is a look at future webinars. Next up, we have Catherine Arteta for Miami YPN President. Please join us. You could go ahead and register right now on our website. And this is being recorded. It's going to also be available for members on MiamiRealtorsLive.com. That's our 24/7 video webinar library service. Make sure you're taking advantage of that as a Miami member. Also, this slide deck, we could go ahead and email that. You could email me and I could get you this slide deck that we produce here. And if for all the members out there, everybody joining us on social media, we try to simplify this and put all of our stats, all of our trends, sfmarketintel.com. If there's one site you can bookmark today, bookmark this one, sfmarketintel.com. That's where we're going to put the statistics that we're releasing today. Everything will go on that website. Okay. All right. So first up, this is a new graphic that we were working on. We were speaking with Christina a little bit earlier before we started, but trying to put into words the incredible explosion of luxury sales that Miami-Dade County has had since the start of the pandemic. So this is saying that 45% of all Miami luxury 1 million and up sales have happened since March 2020. So if you look at all of them since actually 2008,
Yes,
50% have happened in the last 3 years.
that's
Christina,
insane.
Yeah, can you talk about this growth?
So so since 2008, this is like the craziest stat because we were just talking about this. So since 2008, well, almost half of all luxury sales were since the pandemic. And then Gay and I started talking about if we drill that down even more, 20% of the deals done in Miami-Dade are over $1 million, right? That's crazy because when you go back to March of 2020, only 8% of the deals were over $1 million. And there is a stat, I'll verify it one day, but my father and I have used it a couple times. We believe in 2019 that about 90% of the sales were 750 and below. And what we're saying today is that only 80% of the sales are under $1 million. And so I believe a lot of this has been due to a lot of things that we knew were coming, Chris, and we're going to talk a lot about that, but we knew that Miami-Dade was poised for a luxury boom for growth. We just didn't know how quickly it would happen, and COVID sped all of that up. And we're going to talk about some of the fintech coming in. Obviously, Ken Griffith really moving his whole company down here. But really what we've seen and what I believe this growth is from is that people are not just moving here for the sun and the fun and that style, but actually we have jobs that pay people to be able to afford these homes. And then the flip side is there are all these other new types of careers people have created, whether it be social media influencers or crypto and all of these other ways for people to create wealth that were unavailable prior to COVID. And so that wealth is leading into this boom on top of the actual job creation we have never seen before here in South Florida. I used to say, you know what, if you made $500,000, around $100,000 to $200,000 here in South Florida, you were wealthy and you were top of the top. We didn't have jobs paying over $200,000. Now we have jobs coming in at $500 million. I mean, you're seeing these jobs from New York, which are making it affordable for people to come in and say, I can spend $1 million, $2 million, $2 million, $3 million on a house, no problem. So it's been quite a boom, and it'll be fun to see kind of as it flows, how it will continue. The last piece is this: due to the huge increase in value of our homes, $1 million, is it truly luxury? That's the conversation we're having around a lot. My father jokes and says to me, no offense, Chris, you live in a starter home in Coral Gables. It's probably worth $1 million, but it's not a luxury property. And I would agree. And so I think redefining luxury is going to be a big conversation brokers and agents are having if they aren't having it already.
Yeah, no, excellent points and great points about how to redefine luxury and maybe, instead of looking at 1 million up sales, we as an association, we're going to start looking at, 2 million and up, 10 million and up.
Right. And it segmented out, it would be interesting to see 5 million plus, 10 million plus. I mean, there aren't that many $10 million plus homes in South Florida. So it would be interesting to see how many are trading now and so on and so forth. But I mean, we're seeing numbers that we've never seen before, right? Properties just trading at 15 million, 10 million. I got an $8 million listing. I mean, in Pinecrest off water, you're moving at $8 to $10 million. I mean, Pinecrest off water 5 years ago was 2, 3. So, I mean, it is a huge shift. Maybe you found a luxury property for 5 in Pinecrest. That was like uber luxury. Now where you're hearing people get $7 to $10 million all day over there. So it is amazing to see someone spending that money off water. And so that's kind of the movement we've been seeing, but for location, for land, and just really with the movement of job creation, I think I don't believe it's going to change much in the future.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. On Pinecrest, that was.
You take a look at the Pinecrest. We looked the other day. I'm thinking like, all right, so the highest sale was like 10 million, and then it's someone else beat it recently. I'm like, all right, how high are we going to go in Pinecrest? But okay, but land is king there, and you can, you got 7, 8, 9, room homes, so it's interesting. So anyway,
definitely okay. All right, so let's talk about another hot topic in real estate, continues to be mortgage rates. Look, the other day, today's rate is at 6.67%. It's been such a roller coaster. But Christina, as you're looking at rates here, what impact are you seeing from buyers on rates?
I think you have 2 sets of buyers, one that are believing that this is the normal, go ahead and buy, and the others that are still waiting for the fall. And I would caution the ones who are waiting for the fall, because for every, I'm going to get this wrong and I should have looked it up. I believe it's almost every point increase that the interest rate increase, you lose like 5% in value in the home, meaning all that matters to people who are purchasing at the end of the day is the cost per month, my payment. Do you believe South Florida homes are going to continue to rise in price? If so, then you wait for the rate to drop. Even if the rate drops, the house is going to increase in price. So you may even up in the same payment at the end of the day. I always say I could afford a $10 million house if I only had to pay $1,000 a month. So find me a mortgage that gets me 10,000, but that's really what the conversation needs to be around, is what are my payments? What can I afford? And that quote that kind of flew around the industry all last year, which I still think is true, is marry the house and date the rate. If you're really believing that rate is going to drop, refis. And plenty of companies, including our own mortgage company, but plenty of them are out there doing promotions. If the rate drops by a percentage in the first 2 years, we'll refi no problem, free of fees. So trying to get your customers to see South Florida is on the move. It's going to continue to be. Make the decision now for the home and figure out the rate as it fluctuates and as it always has. I mean, looking at this, I don't see a flat line, up, down. It's, hey, today up, down, up, down, up, down. So it is finding the motivation in the buyer to be able to make that move and taking away from the rate and more about the, why they're here and what they're seeing.
Yeah, no, great points. And exactly, if you look at through history, 6% is actually, might even be better than the historical average.
You know what I say, Chris? What do people pay on credit cards? For that pair of shoes or that purse or whatever it is, for boys that you bought a watch or whatever on your credit card, your APR is 22% if you don't pay it off. And yet we're worried about this huge, amazing thing that's going to appreciate over time and give you equity. I don't want to do 6. I need 3 or 4. I'm like, well, what are you paying on your credit card? So I think let's shift the conversation to, hey, this is worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, that 2%, 3%, I don't know if we'll ever get there again.
I don't think so. And I'm not sure it's healthy either. So I think there is that balance.
Yeah. Okay, Christina, how about this one? This is another theory that I've heard talked about, mortgage rate lockdown. So the theory is hey, people have refinanced their rates, to 3%, 4%, and now rates are at 6, 7%. And so now no one will ever move again because they don't want to give up that 3% rate. How can you what is your argument, or what would you say to that?
So, I mean, I think one, they are wrong, just like you have at the bottom. We say, you need to, my grandfather used to say this, and it sounds weird, but it's true. You have to like rip open their shirt and find the M for motivation. Like, what is their motivation at the end of the day, right? And so if move up buyers may not be as motivated, right? If I own my house in my starter home in Coral Gables with a really great rate, am I going to squeeze as many kids in here as possible? How bad is my motivation, right? How overwhelmed am I on a daily basis? Am I working from home? But families, divorce, the 3Ds, death, debt, and divorce occur, right? And I've never met a divorced couple that still lives together. So if you meet one, let me know.
I don't know.
With a 3% rate, right? Hey, I'm not going to move out. We have this awesome rate. Come on. So someone might kick the other person out, but over time things happen. And so I think really realizing that no matter what, the life happens, relocation happens, and really looking for that motivation. Yes, there are going to be some millennials that say, no, thank you, I'm good, and I'll squeeze into my home. But for the most part, we are looking at that typical move, ebb and flow. So we got to, again, the headlines are no one's going to move ever. And really what we're seeing is that this is a crazy stat though, that 42% of US homes that are owned free and clear is absolutely amazing. And that's another reason why I don't think we're headed into 2008 and 2009, but we'll get into that reasoning. But the additional thing I wanted to add is National Association of Realtors is advocating for a assumable loan. So I do think that people are going to be looking for loans that are assumable. A lot of VA loans are assumable. So keep that in mind. If somebody has a VA loan on their property and they want to transfer it, a lot of them can be assumable. Not all, you need to check with your lender, but assumable loans may start to come into play as well.
Yeah, no, great points. And actually here, for realtors, some points, to get creative with
Yes.
these. Exactly what you talked about, assumable loans, 2-for-1 mortgage buy-down program.
Yes, so that's it. Look, at the end of the day, we have to solve problems. Our job is to really just solve the problem. A buyer wants to buy, a seller wants to sell. How do I solve that problem? And the 2-1 mortgage buy-down program is absolutely amazing. If you're not familiar, get with your mortgage loan officer. It is better than a seller. If a seller has like a $550,000 home, it is better. I believe for a 2-1 buy down, it costs them only $10,000 or $15,000 to do so versus reducing the price like $50,000 for a $500,000 price. So it's a huge benefit to buyers. If a buyer wants to ask a seller to do so, there's really, it's minimal cost in the scheme of things versus trying to reduce your price. And so it's important but there's a lot of programs out there right now for home buyers. And I definitely think, look, now's the time to show your value, get creative, work with your partners, and make sure you're having those conversations again, it's about the mortgage payment. How do I change that mortgage payment and how do I make it work for them?
Excellent. Okay. Let's move along here let's talk about some market fundamentals that make Miami unique from a lot of different parts of the country. Our migration, our job growth. Christina had talked about that, Citadel moving down here. Our wealth influx, our percentage of cash buyers, and we have always been number one U.S. destination for global home buyers. So these are some points that why you're seeing Miami
Absolutely
doing better than other parts of the country. Why our prices continue to rise, where nationally they have decreased, and definitely in some major metros.
Absolutely. And I think it's just going to continue. So it's exactly what we said at the beginning is the average salary is increasing, jobs are increasing, and we don't see them going away anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay. And so this was
amazing.
This is from CoreLogic comparing year over year home price growth, and take a look. This is exactly Miami's number one. And for all the reasons that we've already said that are why we're unique.
Yeah, and I think this is really incredible as well, because if you think about that buyer who could have bought last year at 6%, look at his growth year over year that he would have had. So tell him, don't miss out again. Look at this growth. Don't be waiting again. You could have had 2 or 3. What is it? I mean, is this 14% year over year? Yeah. 13%.
Yeah. 13,
Yeah.
14, yeah.
So, hey, I could have grown on my house already 13%. Don't wait again. It's more than your interest rate and it's worth it.
Yeah, no, definitely worth it. And by the way, we had 134 consecutive months of family appreciation. So that's, more than 10 years, I believe. So it's amazing. Okay, and so here's a look. This is from Knight Frank's study. They looked at 10 million and up property sales, which they call super prime, and then ultra prime is 25 million and up. And you could see where Miami ranks among major metro cities, exactly what we were talking about when we opened the webinar.
And I think there's been two things. One, more $10 million properties have sold and traded than we've ever seen before. And then two, you're having more properties move into that section, right? So it's twofold. First, people can actually afford $10 million and up, which is absolutely amazing, and 25 million, and they're choosing to make that decision in Miami and choosing to invest down here. But the second piece is, just like my starter home in Coral Gables that is now $1 million, that $6-7 million, $8 million house that used to be is now 10-12. And so you're really seeing a huge movement of properties that didn't exist before move into that $10 million market. And it is, I mean, to see the growth from the Northeast and to see people making the choice to invest in South Florida over any other state or any other city is absolutely amazing. It is the fintech companies. I mean, the catches is like, we're not just seeing financing companies here. We're seeing tech companies come here. I mean, I've met 3 or 4 tech entrepreneurs in the past 2 weeks at different events. We just moved our company here from South America. We just moved our company here from California. We just moved so the growth in all of the sectors that, frankly, before, this, we had real estate and hospitality, right? We were either in real estate of some sort, real estate development, real estate, or hospitality. And now we have all these different sectors that have the means, and they're bringing those salaries from the Northeast, from Chicago, from San Francisco, from London, from other countries to our area. And see here, Miami and Palm Beach and Broward, I think both are making records.
Yeah, no, excellent points. And then the only thing I would add is the incredible growth that, Miami for years has always been the #1 international destination. We've always had international, but ever since the pandemic, it has taken off in terms of people from high tax, high density states, New York, New Jersey, California. They are coming here in numbers, and we have migration numbers. Here it is.
Thank you.
Here it is, out of state. This is actually from our chief economist, Gay. Got these statistics here and you can see how California to Miami up 80%, New York to Miami up 68%, New Jersey. So these are our top feeder markets, and they continue to come. So, other people might say that it's stopped, but the Miami movement, it's continuing.
I agree. And I think this is why I believe that we're not going to, we are seeing a slowdown. So I don't want to, be all Pollyanna. I do understand there has been a slowdown in units, and I know there's been a little bit of slowdown in growth and pricing. People believe and are feeling, and I get that feeling. But what I would say is, I don't believe we're going to see a dip or slow down, because we have never seen these moves before. And this is without our global community. So during the pandemic, we didn't have our global community propping up Miami. We didn't see our Venezuelans, our Brazilians, our Chileans, all of our South American friends, our French, our Canadians. I mean, Canada just opened. We didn't see that movement propping up Florida. What propped up Miami and what propped up South Florida were these states, which was unprecedented. So even if these states slow down, and even if all of that, we still will see now the influx of our global community.
Yeah, and that's what our CEO, Teresa, always says, is that that's what Miami's so unique, is that our markets come from so many different options. So if one slows down, another one is there to fill it in.
Yep, it is amazing.
Okay, here's a look at migration. This is from U.S. Postal Service data and change of inbound moves between 2019, 2022. South Florida, #1. And there's a look at the other.
It is pretty amazing. And and you're seeing some other interesting cities kind of pop up there. And so I think people are looking for cities that are open, that I have lots of opportunity. If you think about Colorado Springs, the open air, the hiking, the biking, the free lifestyle, even a little bit up in Pennsylvania, there must be something going on in Scranton. Maybe it's a move or whatnot. But really in Spokane, Salt Lake, that idea that, hey, I can live, work, go out and hike, bike, be free outside, I think is a big movement. And that's what we're definitely winning here in South Florida.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. And here's another stat, important stat. Look how many net residents move per day to Florida. Florida was the fastest growing state. This was for the first time since, I believe, 1957. And here's a look at some research in terms of the future growth of Florida. And you could see it's not going to slow down anytime, at least until 2032.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's a look at Miami-Dade County population. This is another graphic, by the way. Our incredible design team.
I love this one.
I have to give them a shout out because they've really put out some great graphics for us. This is a look at how our population compares to 2011, and you can see where the growth in different segments.
Absolutely. And our millennials are coming in strong in that 35 to 44. And that's where you're really seeing a lot of that growth as well. And now even still our baby boomers, the 65 to 74s have hugely increased, right? One, because they've gotten a little bit older, but two, it's where people are making their home for retirement and whatnot. So it's a great movement in all areas.
Definitely. Okay. All right. So now let's have some fun.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody in the chat, I'd like if you could go in the chat and answer these 3 questions. These are from our Miami Global Study that we put out every single year around in the fall. So the first question is, if you could write it in the chat, and we'll see who's the winner at the end at the end of our webinar. But what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? What percentage of U.S. global real estate sales are made in South Florida? And what percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida?
So meaning what percentage of the global purchases that occur in Florida are in South Florida?
Yeah. I could have worded that better.
Yeah, I saw that one. I was like, all right. So total, what percentage of the global market is purchased in all of Florida is purchasing down in South Florida? Do we own 5% of the global market that's purchasing in Florida? Do we own 100% of the global market that's purchasing in Florida? So yes.
Exactly. All right. So we'll see a little bit later who was the first one to get all 3 of them right. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into the official statistics that we are releasing to the media. First one's going to be median sale price. First, I wanted to take a look. First, we'll go look in the past. This is our appreciation. We had talked about this already, but if you held a single-family median priced home in 1994 and kept it, that home would have appreciated.
Great stat.
Almost $500,000. And that's just the median priced home.
Right. So in certain locations and you definitely have higher appreciation, but it shows you, I always say, look, real estate is cyclical, but it always continues this way, right? So you're going to feel the ups and downs, but holding it definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And then, so we'll look at it now in the forecast. This came out earlier in the year from Goldman Sachs Global Investment Research, looked at every single market in the US. Which one was going to have price appreciation? Well, they said only 2. It's Miami, and then Baltimore barely gets positive, but only 2 markets. And this another example of how we're different. We're unique.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge for Goldman Sachs to come out and say they still believe we're going to see price. I know many cities that have already seen price decreases over time. I was just with National Association of Realtors, many realtors saying, oh, we've dropped 5%, we've dropped 10%. So like, we're not dropping, so it's amazing.
Yes. Okay. And so these are the numbers for April 2023. Single family is now up to 600,000 median price. For condos is at 414,900. So up about 6%. So we're not seeing the 10, the 15%, which is healthier, right? 6%.
Yes, this is okay to be here.
Yeah.
They're okay numbers.
Right. And here's a look at Broward. Positive there. Palm Beach, single family.
And this is all just in April, everybody. I know people this is just for the month of April.
Just for the month of April, year over year. Yeah. Okay, so here's a look at our historical chart that we put together,
This is a
update every
great
single
stuff.
month.
Yep.
Yeah, another great stat here in terms of, from the bottom in 2011, how much prices have increased.
It is, I mean, again, I think it goes back to people worrying about that 6%. And if we're telling the right story that Miami is still going to be up, Palm Beach is going to be up. I saw someone ask, is Palm Beach going to be, West Palm Beach going to be the financial Wall Street? Certainly Stephen Ross thinks so. I think it'll be a tough play against what's happening in Miami, but it definitely is seeing financial companies come in as big as they've ever seen. So I think that and that is going to overflow into Broward, what we're seeing in Broward. So if people are on the fence, these statistics here should make them feel comfortable that purchasing a home today will continue to rise if their goal is to own a home and live in it, right? If they're flippers, that's a different conversation. But people, home buyers looking to achieve that American dream, this should give them a real confidence in our market.
Excellent. Yes, and here's a look at Broward. Same story here. Actually, major
Incredible
jump.
growth. Yes. And I think that's the influx that you're seeing, people who want to still enjoy the lifestyle of Miami or still want to be near it, but not necessarily in it. Broward is definitely benefiting from that and benefiting from the other way as well, as Palm Beach is growing fast and rapid. And so I think Broward is winning on all fronts there too.
Yeah, and Palm Beach, here's the growth of Palm Beach through the years. Okay, so this is a graphic that we had put out a little bit earlier because, there's some talk that, yes, inventory, and we're going to go through the stats. Inventory has been growing and growing the last 6-7 months. But if you look historically, it's still below average. Still, we need a lot more new listings and inventory, right, Christina?
I mean, that's the conversation. I think when you have people saying, I'll wait for the prices to drop, anecdotally, we had several listings that went on the market over the past 2 weeks that had multiple offers in the first 10 days. And there was actually a stat from Lawrence Yoon that Gay probably knows of that scene as well. If the still majority of the homes are moving within the first 30 days. And so in order for prices to drop, it's supply and demand. I need more supply than I have demand. And especially in the 80% of our homes that are selling under $1 million, there's a ton of demand. And so until my inventory reaches the point to where I no longer have that demand, I'm not going to be able to slow down the price appreciation. And so we definitely need a lot more units coming on the market. And that's why people are feeling that slowdown, Chris, because we don't have the units that are moving and trading like they were back in 2016, 17, 18, 19. So, I'm feeling as a realtor, feeling pressure because I'm not selling as many units. The volume may be making up for it and price is making up for it, but the units are down, and that's just due to the lack of inventory that we're seeing.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. And so, here's another graphic that we have. This from Knight Frank in terms of the value of our 1 million and up properties, and you can see that Miami, how much you could purchase in Miami compared to other global cities.
Yeah, so I think this is really another story we need to be telling. And that, yes, the story I hear some realtors echoing is we've gotten so expensive and we are so expensive and we can't be afforded. And I don't disagree. It is extremely expensive and we need to continue to look at affordable housing and how to do that responsibly and smartly and effectively. And Miami Realtors is always in the forefront there. What this chart is showing you, though, we are still so much cheaper than most major cities around the world. So I can afford 64 square meters for $1 million. In London, I would only get 34 square meters. In Los Angeles, I'd only get 39 square meters for $1 million. I remember when my girlfriend sold her home, it was a two little less than 1,000 square foot home for like close to $2 million in Los Angeles. And I'm like, I mean, fine, now, it may be worth more, but it is amazing to see what you don't get for your money in other cities and what you can still get for your money here. And that's why we've seen the influx, but I think that's why we'll continue to see it.
Yeah, no, yes. And we will do a better job. That's a great point. We telling this story.
Yeah.
And this is another similar story where Miami, South Florida ranks among other US metro areas.
It's incredible, right? So we're still Now, we are getting more expensive in the United States. That is true. We are moving up, but still less than your typical, Boston, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So we still are price per square meter here. The price per square foot that you all are used to, much, much cheaper.
Perfect. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so this chart, yes, this chart here is, tale of two markets, right? Christina, there's talk of that people say that, okay, prices are rising so high, this is going to be another 2008. Why is it not?
So many reasons. Let's just go through this and you guys can read, so I don't need to read it to you. But I think the one major thing that our Congress learned in 2008 was to never let 2008 happen again. And while I know we have very short-term memories in a lot of things, a lot of the bills, thankfully, that were passed during that time are not short-term. They are long-term, and they are in effect to protect us, protect the consumer, protect homeowners, and protect realtors and bankers alike from that occurring. I think that's one. The Dodd-Frank bill had, good, bad, or ugly, a lot of amazing things that it does to protect us from that occurring today. The second really is we don't have the loan products. And now I'll caution you, because what I hear next is everybody saying, oh, well, people are getting more creative in the loan products and so on and so forth. Yes, but it is still a rigorous process. You still have to show that you can afford to buy the home. Are we allowing people with a little bit lower credit? Yes, those are FHA. We need people to get into homes and to purchase homes. And so the government is being creative on helping people get in the homes. They still have to show that they can afford it. There is no longer, hey, you breathe, sign here, this works. The next huge difference, and this is one that we had on a previous slide. 42% of the homes are free and clear. I don't know what that stat is, Chris, and I should have asked you what that stat was in 2006 or 2007, but I would imagine that it was maybe even half, if not less. And I think of the 60% of homes, or whatever, 58% of homes that are not free and clear, I think like 80% of them have over 25% equity in their home, if not more. So there is a lot of equity in our homes. In order for us to see a 2008, we need a couple things to occur. I need no more equity in my home. I need to be underwater. So in order for me to be underwater, I have to owe more than my house is worth. So either you're going to see, if you see a run on refinances and I'm allowed to pull out 95% of my equity, then I would be concerned, right? The second is I need enough inventory to allow for lack of demand and my property now to be worth less than it is. I don't have the inventory there. I have the demand. And so until I see both the run on my property being the lack of equity in people's homes that would cause it to be underwater, or the increase in inventory, there's no way to recreate 2008. So those are, to me, the two biggest pieces on top of all the other things we see. Millennials are the biggest buying power. They are actually now, we need to start looking at the next generation, Gen Z as well. They're being smart in the way they're purchasing homes. They're actually looking at Gen Z is being smart in the way they're investing in properties, and they're actually some of the largest, one of the largest generations at age like 26 that own properties, because they're seeing how smart it is to invest in real estate. Millennials are becoming luxury buyers, and they're having 2 kids, moving up and making smart decisions. But millennials saw their parents lose everything. So they are very, very fiscally conservative when it comes to pulling money out of their house and being smart with their money, because that's also why they were a little bit slower in purchasing houses, because they saw what their parents believed to be the American dream, only to let it crumble while they were in high school or college. And so that scared millennials a lot from making investments into the home ownership. Now that they're actually owning homes, they're being smart with their money. They're doing contract work to their property. So there is so much. And I see someone saying, it's appraisal waivers and things like that. You might see a little bit of concern with that. And I hear what you're saying. I need a lot of people to have no equity in their home, and I need a lot of inventory in order to replicate anything close to 2008.
Yeah, no.
Does that help?
Great, but you covered all. You hit a home run. That was phenomenal.
All right. So yeah, this question kills me, because I think yes, home price, would I like, and I'm good with home prices staying at, 3, 4, 5% increase year over year. That's okay. We can stay there. We don't need these crazy increase, which people say, if it's a crazy increase, you got to come down, well, up, go down. That's not true in real estate. You own your home, you invest in the property, like we saw 10, 15 years. We believe actually, and this is the last little thing I'll say on this. I know we have a couple more slides to get through, but is my grandfather in 1970, 76, downturn of the market, took out an ad in the Miami Herald and says, I will guarantee that your house will be worth double than what it is today in 15 years. So, and whatever the median price was, I think it was like 40,000 then. It's like, I guarantee it'll be worth $80,000 in 15 years, because his belief was so strong in the market that fine, we might be at a horrible time, but give it 15 years, you're going to double. We've seen that time and time again in South Florida. And now in the past, it's only taken 5 years for it to double. So I think that's the growth that we're seeing, especially down here in the market. And it's that slow and steady pace of real estate investing that really makes sense. And, houses are not the ATMs that they used to be.
Yeah. I love that story about your grandfather. So
yeah,
it didn't just double, that probably quadrupled. No,
I think it quadrupled. Yeah. I have to get the date right. I'll pull it up. And I'm like, we're getting ready for our 100th year anniversary. So I'm trying to find all the things I can from that year. I'm hoping I can find it, but it was one of those bold, it was right around when he was, on the Miami board and then all the doomsday, this is a horrible market, all these things. And he's going, it's still a good investment. And so I think, even for the most part, people who purchased in 2006 and 2007, it might have taken 15 years, but now we're back to where, maybe double for them. Everyone else definitely has seen that, if not more.
Definitely. Okay. Next slide here backs up what you're saying. Foreclosures are still low. Credit scores are high.
Correct. And these are some of the highest credit scores we've seen. I think that's the other story that we need to tell is some of the highest credit scores that have been required. And lowering them is just to help out some of our first-time home buyers. And then the low foreclosures. Foreclosures have to be a huge they're always a percentage of our market, right? There's always going to be a percentage, but they need to be over 15% of our market to really make a difference. And that's not really what we're seeing at all. They're usually 3 to 5%, but when they hit 15, 20%, when they start to feel real and you're seeing them more often than not, then we need to look at it. But otherwise, it's a normal part of the unfortunate day-to-day real estate market.
Yes. Okay. And this is again some of the same points that we talked about, how the growth in median home buyer income. Christina has talked about that earlier. So let's get to this slide here. Why buy a home? Actually, we've been touching on these points about how, incomes rise over time while that mortgage payment stays fixed. You could refinance. There's talk about that recession is coming or that it's here. By the way, rents are rising too. Home price appreciation we've talked about. And this is another point. Housing is not the stock market, right?
And I think that's a huge piece and people talk about building wealth and investing. And while I think it's absolutely necessary if you're wealthy enough to diversify where you invest, but I think I told someone this the other day, the pandemic redefined shelter. It's like, and I think I joke that over the pandemic, people were saying shelter in place. And I said, oh my God, everyone's talking about real estate. It's not, they weren't, right? And I don't mean to make light of it, but if you think about it, they were. And if you really think about it, people have redefined what they believe to be their safe place. And that looks very different than it used to. And I'm not just talking about, hey, I want a yard versus not, or it's really redefining what I believe to be my value and what is valuable to me in a lockdown or a shutdown or what feels like a mini life crisis. And so if that didn't convince people to say invest in where you live, I don't know what did. Between landlord issues and rent payment issues and all of those things, you own your home, you're the boss, and you get to decide how you deal with it, what you do with it, and really who lives in it with you. And so I think it makes so much more sense to start making investments into real estate, especially here in South Florida. Can't speak for all the markets, but with a growing market, with rising rents, again, the Airbnb market took out a lot of our long-term rental opportunities, which led to the push and the increase in rental rates, right? All of a sudden, thousands of units that typically were used for yearly rents were taken off the market, went to the vacation market, and now that means supply and demand. I still have all these renters here, and I have half the amount of inventory. So if you think Miami is going to continue to be a place for vacation rentals and continue to be a place for Airbnb market or short-term rentals, even if it's not, depending on your zoning laws and whatnot, then your rent is probably going to continue to rise until we get more inventory. Why not make an investment into a fixed payment? Yes, and hopefully one day you can refi should that 2% someday show up, but at least it's a fixed payment you know about, and you don't have to worry while making equity in your home, while building wealth for yourself, for your family. And so it really just, obviously it's something I believe in, and we've been doing it for a long time here in Miami.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I've been taking so many notes during this this webinar.
Thank you.
That point right there, that because there's so much talk about Miami rental prices going up, and there's no talk about the why. And that is the first time I've heard someone really say, you know, the Airbnb took out rental
the long-term rental units.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know. And our property management firm itself, and I could get us our numbers, we managed 900 units. And he said it was maybe 20-30% of his units that went away from long terms and went into that Airbnb market. And now it's even more. I mean, the majority of the stuff he's bringing on is for vacation rentals. I mean, we saw buyers purchasing $1-2 million properties in like Fort Lauderdale Beach to Airbnb them.
Wow.
Because he's like, I can make $50,000 this month for boat show. I can make this, you know, and so it is an interesting change a little bit. And even if the Airbnb isn't allowed, if it's a short-term rental, you're starting to really see that movement. And so that is a lot of the cause, I think, of the rental. Plus, you've added demand. You added Citadel workers. You've added all these workers, all these new employees relocating that may not want to purchase right away, looking for that can afford, you know, my brother in New York pays $6,500 for a 1-bedroom in Union Square. It's like in this horrible big, you know, building. I'm thinking like $6,500, you know, you can afford down here. So it did, the demand with what people can afford really, you know, was pushed. So it is time to talk those people into getting off the fence when it comes to the mortgage rates and realize that that's not changing, and it's time to kind of get in the game.
All right, great. Yes, and there's Marga Rivera in the chat is asking about the slide deck. Yes, everybody, if you'd like to get the slide deck, if you could actually in the webinar, I'm sorry, in the chat, if you could put in your email, I'll make sure afterwards to get all the emails, and I'll email that to you. Okay, all right. So let's get to closed sales. How are closed sales looking April? So they are down year over year. But again, we got to put these numbers into perspective, because April 2022, by the way, was an incredible, one of the best in history. April 2021 was the best ever. So when you're comparing them to those 2 months.
So I said, we got to stop comparing year over year and go like, let's compare 2019 to 2023.
Yeah. Yes.
There's no more.
A normal year, because those were anomalies, right? 2000.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we'll ever see those type of years again.
Yes, it is. So we really need to look at it, compare it. And if you look at this is an amazing chart. It's still much higher than many of the years we've seen past. So we need to keep that in perspective.
Yes. Okay. And then here's
the same story. Yeah.
Same story in Broward and Palm Beach. Yeah. And if you've been following us along, you know, for these webinars we're doing every single month, sales have been trending down, similar to national and other metros, because one of that, the main reason is you're comparing to a historical year. And by the way, mortgage rates, you know, now they're what, at 6%, 7%, and then back then it was what, 3%, 4%. So
yeah. And I would caution people when you're using these slides, use the graph, not just the text on the left. The text on the left is what's causing people to say, it's going down. Look, nothing is moving. When you use a graph and you actually show what's occurring, while it is down year over year, it's not fully down. So it is, remember to keep it in perspective.
Yeah, keep it in perspective. All right. Okay, so here, how to leverage these stats for all the members, all the Miami members, the realtors that are watching.
Yes.
This was a great tip from Miami leader Natasha Tello. Hey, use Market Watch on Matrix because a lot of the stats are backward looking. This will tell you what's happening in your market because realtors, they make their money knowing the micro, right? And do you take advantage of this, Christina? Or?
Yeah, I think you need to know real estate's local. It's why people need a realtor because it's not the same in every city and we know in the city of Miami and Miami-Dade County, I could work in Aventura and it's very different from any other city. And so you need to know what's occurring in Aventura. You need to know what's occurring in Homestead in your market in order to stay relevant and be that chamber. So this is a huge, easy tool. You're there every single day. Make sure it's set up to your market and you can see the ebb and flow of what's occurring every single day.
Yes, take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here are other ways to
Yes.
take advantage, other tools that the association provides. SunStats, are you guys using SunStat? It is free to Miami members. And it lets you zero down to any neighborhood. I'm going to show you the graphics that you could create in literally 1 minute. We also have zip code reports for Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, Broward, Martin County. That's on sfmarketintel.com. I mentioned that earlier, but you could break down every zip code. You could break down city reports. And then lastly, I wanted to say RPR on Miami Gateway allows you to create neighborhood reports and a lot much more. These are all free Miami services.
All amazing. All have different uses. All are usable on social media.
Yeah, and here's a look at what you could get on RPR. Here's a look at SunStats. This is, you could have your, if you guys aren't using this.
In Sunsets, you have, like you see here, it's with Chris's logo and everything here. It will add your data information and your company information too.
Yes, definitely take advantage of these. And okay, let's take a look at new pending sales. This is the best indicator of future.
I only look at pending sales in my company. I have no idea what we've closed. I can tell you what we penned every single day and every single month. Every single morning I wake up to see what we penned the day before.
Oh, interesting.
It's the only thing that I care about because I know you get if you figured out your pending, I know how we'll get to close. So pending and listing, that's it.
It's all about the pendings. All right, interesting. Okay. And then here's a look at Miami-Dade. And so they're, we have
story that we're seeing, but it is still picking up compared to many of the months before, especially even back. It's pretty in line. I think it looks like it's in with 2022. Towards the beginning of that year. So it is picking up.
Right. Okay. Here's a look at Broward.
Same thing.
Same story. It's interesting how these three counties, they follow the same trend lines in Palm Beach. Okay, so let's move over to dollar volume, sum of all sale prices. And they're down year over year, of course. You got to
but still to see these numbers is pretty pretty amazing. I think like when you're talking about my grandfather to say, hey, to tell him that, hey, we may be selling, $4 billion worth of real estate in the South Florida market is absolutely amazing. And I think that, but again, I think the volume is saving the units.
Yes. Yeah, it's just every time I look at this chart, it shows you the power of this industry. Incredible. Okay, so let's move over to
my favorite month supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
What's the typical market and how many do we need?
Yes. So typically you want balanced market 6 to 9 months, less than 6 is the sellers, more than 9 is the buyers. Of course, we are in a sellers. This is the calculation.
Yep.
When you get this in the email.
Save this. If you don't know how to do this, know how to do this. This is an extremely important conversation to have with your sellers.
Yeah, and you guys will have this. I'm going to take down all the emails and email that to you. Okay, so months of supply, and they are up year over year, 4.2 months.
Yeah, this really means that if no other properties came on the market, we would be out of inventory in 4 months. That's insane. 4 months gone. So it is still a seller's market in that sense. And what you need to do is drill down into your neighborhoods and into your cities and see some it's less than 4 months. In certain codes and whatnot. So absolutely.
Yeah. And take a look at Broward and Palm Beach. Their months of supply has been down in comparison to Miami. Yeah, only 3 months overall.
And 2.5 in single family.
Yeah. In Palm Beach, 3.4 months overall.
It's amazing.
Okay, here's a look at this.
Yeah.
The luxury
Where
market.
you are seeing it slow down a little bit. And I think that that's why you're feeling a little bit, if you have properties over $1 million, you need to be pricing them correctly. Even though Gay told me that 70% of the price homes in this area still sell with cash. I'll push back a little. I think a lot of those say cash and people get financing, but you are seeing a slowdown in this uber luxury market, in the luxury and the uber luxury market, because the need is not as great. And I believe luxury and uber luxury is tied a little bit more to the scare of the stock markets. And if you follow those, they haven't looked very pretty lately. There's a little bit of scare there. And so those have a little bit more of a less need and a less drive for change. Whereas the under $1 million market is motivated by change, divorce, debt, and there's a have to versus a want to. And your over $1 million, well, your luxury and uber luxury is not necessarily a have to sell. Even in the divorce, you might have 2 homes. So one can take another one, right? So there's a little bit of a difference in that. And so the months are increasing here, and it is something to take note when you're pricing your houses.
Yeah, no, great insight there about under 1 million and then over 1 million. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and then exactly, if you look at different price points, you could
Huge.
be in a balanced
I don't know.
market.
Is there are properties available under 150,000? Look at that.
Not too many. Yeah.
It is still amazing to see. That's where you're seeing, I think that you're really just seeing some insane movement under that $1 million.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's take a look at the hottest markets. This is in terms of months of supply, lowest months of supply. Number 1 is Homestead in Miami-Dade and Country Club for condos.
This makes sense. The reason this is the least amount, it's the hottest markets, because it's the most affordable markets. So your most affordable markets right now are going to be your hottest markets right now. And that's why we're seeing that.
Yeah. And let's move over to Broward. These are the hottest markets in Broward. Same thing.
So 1.4. So if these are your markets, it's a seller's market and you can still price high and you're going to get multiple offers. Okay. That's what this is telling you.
Yes.
That's how you smart, but you're going to get multiple offers.
That's great. And here's where you could get more multiple offers.
Yep. This is amazing. Amazing. Yep.
And here's a look at Martin County. Again, these graphics are on sfmarketintel.com. All right, let's take a look at active inventory. They've been trending up for the last 6 months, but still not at a point where you're at the average or the historical average.
You still are seeing people now. Thankfully, I think we need inventory to go up a little bit. You saw some of the huge drop. We need properties to sell. So you want it to go up, and you want it to feel that 1.8 months in Homestead doesn't feel good. It is scary. It's tough. It's buyers are angry. Sellers are wanting more. It's not a fun market in a sense, and it's not a normal market. It's better to be in a situation where we have a normal months of supply. So it's weird to say this, but you do want it to balance out a little bit so that it's not so strenuous. You don't want to be on one end and you don't want to be on the other, right? It's always nice to kind of feel it. So we do need the inventory, which is good news.
Yeah. And we also need new listings. I've been keeping tabs on new listings.
Yes.
And this month, it was the second lowest new listings for the month of April.
I know.
I
think of broker's tears when you say that. Go get new listings. Go get new listings. Find them. They're out there, but it is tough. And that is the scarier part, is we need them.
For sure. Okay. All right. Median percent of original price received. This has always been around 100% and 96%. It's incredible.
Right. If you're priced right, you're getting your price. And that's always been how it is. Price it correctly and you're getting it.
All right. Median time to contract. How many days did it take to come to terms? In Miami-Dade, it's 33. Broward,
this is up 57%. So when everyone is saying it's so much slower, I had someone tell me, oh, the house has been on the market 10 days and I don't have 10 days. Oh, it's going to take you 30 now to close. It's like, it is 30 days is awesome, right? Take this. It's still a great time frame to be in. So it's all a balance.
Yeah. And I follow this, I'm sure you do too, the Housing Wire economist Logan, and he talks about how if your time to contract is a teenager, that it's not healthy, that you need to grow, get it to grow up and, get out of college and have a, nice job, 33 days. So
Yeah.
we're getting there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we are. We're getting into that time frame. I love it.
Okay, all right. So we're almost there at the hour.
I know. Apologize to talk too much. All
Oh,
right.
no, it's
We'll
okay.
go through
No,
the last ones.
yeah, last one's here. Just wanted to sum it up. Here's a summary of what we talked about. And our chief economist, forecast by the end of the year, 5.5% rates. Oh, our answers.
Oh, yeah. Did we do the answers?
Let's do the answers. Okay, so let's see who got the first one right. What is the top foreign country purchasing South Florida? It is Argentina.
Nessie,
They
right?
won the World Cup and they also won the highest.
Trip to Miami, apparently. So
And I did look in the chat earlier. Marga Rivera is our winner, and she was the first to say Argentina. So congratulations to her.
the next one.
Unfortunately, but I don't believe we have prizes, but you can know that you
Huge pat on the back. You knew what you were talking about. That's huge.
And then what percent of US global real estate sales are made in South Florida? It's 10%.
Yeah, that's incredible. So
10%.
10% of global sales are done in of the sales done in Florida are done in South Florida and global, which is amazing.
And then what percentage? If you just
Sorry, 10% of our market is global. We make up 50% of the total Florida market.
Yes. And I know our CEO Teresa loves this slide.
It's huge.
Because take a look at number 2, Orlando, and look how the
Not even close.
separation. Yeah.
No, and this is amazing that this was even when in 2022 and when we didn't really have foreign buyers. So imagine when they come back in 2023, how much bigger it will be. So it is a great stat.
Yeah, and I saw a story today from Bloomberg talking about how Latin America is trying to move capital out because of all the socialist or leftist.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of turmoil there. So hopefully they can figure that out. And in the meantime, a lot of people do try to leave because of it.
Yeah, and also wanted to give a shout out to Ashley Moline in the chat. She answered Argentina, which was correct. And then for the next 2 answers, she said 80% and 80%. But hey, she was almost there for the last one. So congratulations. Okay, tools and resources. We're going to wrap this up really quick. We talked about this already. Access SunStats on the gateway. We have co-brandable materials. This is on miamirealtors.com/co-brand. Top 20 reasons to buy. You could download those and put your logo and market those. We haven't talked about Photify. Photify is an app. It's only available on your phone. The association has loaded the app with ready-to-go templates for you, for realtors. You have an open house. You have to register for the app, but it's free for Miami members. You get the app and you could do it on the go. You're at an open house, use the template, pop in the picture of the open house and share to social media. And we have our comprehensive market reports. This is, we were talking about everything that we provide on sfmarketintel.com. These are examples. We have videos, reports, so much more.
All the things we went through today, many of the stats and many, many more that you can find here. Yeah. Great website. And
here, zip code and city quarterly reports that we have available. RPR we talked about. Trainers, if you guys have any questions on any services that we provide, SunStats, if you Photify, these are the people that could help you. Any questions that you have. And this is a look at cross-market demand. Which counties outside of Florida are looking at our listings?
Use this to target your future buyers. If you know how to target and use AdWorks or any type of advertising, or even if you want to start making calls or connecting with people, use this for your future buyers. This is huge.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you can leverage this.
Yep.
Get referrals in these counties. Here's a look at Broward. It's a similar story. Who's looking here? You have the top states. It's New York, California. You have Washington,
Illinois, DC. Chicago. Yep. All the big ones.
Yeah. Look at all the New Yorks here that are looking at Palm Beach listings. New York is all over this.
Yes.
and Martin County. And here's my email. I'm going to go ahead and write down all the emails and make sure to send the presentation. And then here's our social media. Christina, thank you so much. You were
Thank
incredible.
you.
Took down so many notes. I think you've helped a lot of our members and everybody who watched.
Thank you. Sorry we went a little long, but I appreciate you guys being with us and I appreciate you asking me to be a part of this. Always happy to give back and was so awesome to be with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the comments in the chat. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.